Hello, I'm Drew Peterson, and I'm going to tell you the story of how I became acquainted with my grandfather's music, The Challenge. The story starts a couple years ago. Today, it is the 7th of November, 2014. The story starts in the fall of 2012. I was rummaging around the old homestead in Manta, Utah, where Grandma and Grandpa lived their whole lives, and I found reference to a musical composition that grandfather William Henry Peterson had written. Since I record the band performances for the schools here in our school district, I was interested in finding out what kind of music Grandpa had written, and maybe even hear it. So, as luck would have it, I contacted my cousin, Karen Schneider, who is the daughter of my father's older sister, Aunt Ruth, and Karen, had not only knew about the music that Grandpa had written, but she was able to give me a copy, the copy that I just showed you. After I got a copy of the music, I got a good friend of mine, Juliet Rogers, to play it for me, and I recorded it. The music that you're listening to, and have been since the beginning of this video presentation, is the recording that Juliet made. But that's not the end of the story. One of the folks that I let listen to this Grandpa's piece is a fellow over at Palmer Ridge High School. He's the band director, leader there, and a very gifted musician. And he became very excited about Grandpa's piece and said we should have it scored for band. Apparently, Grandpa Peterson was a gifted musician. This is him in his high school band, and him at the organ on his mission, and finally, him as band director and head of the music department at the Manta High School, and an outdoor picture of them all together with all kinds of instruments. Not too long after my grandpa, William Henry Peterson, and Mary Jensen were married, he was called on a mission to Denmark. While he was gone, his first child, Aunt Ruth, was born, but he never got to see her until she was 2 years old. After he returned, he went to work at Manta High School as the head basketball coach and the music and band director. And that was about 1912. And sometimes between 1912 and about 1916, Grandpa composed The Challenge. When Butch Eversole, the band director at Palmer Ridge, approached Dr. Ken Singleton, the head band director at the University of Northern Colorado, to transcribe Grandpa's piece from piano to band, he at first declined because he was too busy. But Butch was persistent, and after a while, Dr. Singleton, Ken, relented and started work on The Challenge and the transcription. He later said this was the hardest thing that he has done so far in his life. The reason is that this was the only copy of the challenge that we had was for piano, and to take it from the music composed the 10 fingers could play to all the pieces of a band was really a challenge. And after working on it for some time, Dr. Singleton said he just came to a brick wall. He didn't know what to do or where to go. And so he was just about ready to put it aside when one day he had an inspiration about how to continue and how to do it. When I heard this story, I immediately thought to myself, well, that was Grandpa's influence. But he then went ahead and finished the composition, and Butch Eversole he and the band had been invited to play at CMEA, which is the Colorado Music Educators Association. Meeting once a year is a big deal, and Butch decided to premiere Grandpa's piece at that function. The night before, however, they put on a performance at Palm Ridge High School, which I recorded, and a good friend, Mark Gessling, videotaped, and then we put my music to his videotape, and then the next day it was officially premiered at CMEA. This was in January of 2014. Dr. Singleton came down and directed the band at Palm Ridge and also at CMEA. Here then is the challenge by William Henry Peterson, as transcribed by Dr. Ken Singleton, played by the Palmer Ridge Wind Ensemble under the direction of Dr. Singleton. But that's not the end of the story. Several months later, I was talking to Dr. Singleton, and Grandpa's tune came up, and he said, without any prompting from me, that he believed that the old gentleman, Grandpa Peterson, was there during the performances. And I agreed with him, and there you have the rest of the story.